All right, everybody, we are back. It is Taped Online's favorite podcast, favorite channel, favorite is everything. We are back. You guys already know what to do. Hit the subscribe button. Subscribe. Hit the like button if you like it. Hit the dislike button if you don't like it. Leave a comment if you like it. Leave a comment if you don't like it. Also follow us on Twitter at the Markshot NFL for me, at mholder95 for Matt, and of course, pandasups.com. Discount code 25% off for all your protein and fitness needs. All right. So today we are talking, doing some Nick Nash and Darian Porter. Darian Porter fits perfectly because the Raiders let go of Jack Jones. So it was a great idea by Matt. Matt saw the future on Saturday when he told me he was going to Darian Porter. He saw the future.
Exactly.
I'm doing Nick Nash, who I think is probably a day 3 pick for the Raiders just because of the school he went to. But I think he's
put some respect on the Spartans, bro. San Jose State, man.
You know, I want to, but will the NFL, Matt? Will the NFL?
Jeff Garcia went there, dude.
Who else? David Fails? Was it Fails?
Fails. What was the dude? Was it Josh Oliver, the tight end that was like a 3rd round pick and didn't end up panning out? Tight end a few years ago.
They had a running back too. I thought didn't they have a running back that came out a couple years ago? I can't remember.
Yeah, I mean they've had a few guys, but not many. Oh, James Jones.
Okay, yeah.
Back in the day, hey? Led the NFL in touchdowns one year with A-Rod.
Yeah, 13 touchdowns in a season. Raiders legend James Jones, Matt. Raiders legend James Jones. I'm doing some Nick Nash, but I think Nick Nash is a good player. We'll get into Nick Nash. But first things first, a couple of Raiders news tidbits here. Jack Jones is gone. It wasn't surprising to me. I think we even talked about that. He might. Like, we didn't think it would be now, but, like, we thought he might be the odd man out.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of felt like – because Jack Jones was always AP's guy, right? Like, he knew him in, like, high school and stuff like that. He coached him in high school, right, at Long Beach Poly, and then obviously coached him in college at ASU too. So it did kind of feel like if there was going to be – like you said, like if there was going to be an odd man out, it was going to be Jack Jones because – you know, he was so close to or so closely attached and was basically on the team because of the old head coach. And I mean, we talked about it during the season. Like this was supposed to be his year to prove himself as his cornerback 1. And I mean, he gave up the most touchdowns in the league or second most touchdowns in the league. So it's not too surprising. I thought either way, he was probably going to have to compete for a starting spot. I mean, I put Corey Bennett in that category too, as having to compete for a spot, but it definitely felt like Jack Jones was probably going to be in the one on the way out, given his connection. I think you posted it too. Like he just doesn't really fit like the Pete Carroll type at cornerback, which is most significantly long arms and big dudes with long arms. You think about like the Legion of Boom days with Brandon Bowner, if I can say that correctly, and Richard Sherman. Both those dudes were like 6'2", 6'3", and had like 32, 33-inch arms and whatnot. And even a guy like Tariq Woolen, who Porter kind of reminds me a lot of, is that same type of mold, those long arm corners with ball skills that can run too, which is also the added bonus. So, yeah, it just felt like Jack Jones wasn't a great fit, and I wouldn't be surprised if like if you told me like a month ago that Jack Jones wasn't going to be on the roster, that would have been that surprising to me. But the fact that it did happen now and like that he didn't even like get a chance to compete for a job, like if he would have happened at the beginning of free agency, would have made a little bit more sense. But the fact it's happening here a couple of weeks before the draft and he's not even going to make it to OTAs, let alone training camp, is a little more surprising. But yeah, it definitely didn't come out of nowhere, so to speak.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. It didn't come out of nowhere. It was interesting because, you know, I think a lot of fans were shocked. They're like, oh, what are we going to do? How many players left? And, you know, Jack Jones, when you like just look at him from a profile perspective, he's like, what? He's like 5'9", maybe barely 6 foot. He's like 170 pounds. He's really short arms. He's just not that type of player that, you know, Pete Carroll likes to play outside. So he would have to play him inside because Darien Holmes doesn't have big arms. I mean, either does Will Johnson, who they're really looking at. Will Johnson, his arms are only 30 inches, like his pretty short arms. You know, it's the same thing with Jahdae Barnes. I mean, Maxwell Harrison, I looked at his around 31, so it's not too crazy for what I would say for Pete Carroll. But either way, it was going to work out for that way with Jack Jones probably going to be the odd man out. Either way, like not playing or something like that, some kind of something weird like that. I feel like was gonna happen because even like Sam Webb has 32-inch arms. You know what I mean? And they just announced they're bringing him back, right? A little extension signings,
the
like
exclusive rights or whatever.
Exclusive rights or whatever. Yeah. So with that happening, I mean that's the type of thing that you can kind of see where they're going with it with outside corners. And I'm not saying it's like every corner they're going to look at, but it's mostly just outside corners at this point. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's that type of thing that's happening right now. But that's what Pete Carroll likes, and there's really nothing you can say about it, in my opinion. I mean, it is what it is, and that's the corners they're going to look at, especially for outside.
Yeah.
And they still need a slot corner, in my opinion. You can't play Darnold at home. So that's why I think, the Maxwell Harrisons and the, even Will Johnson, in my opinion, I think Will Johnson will be better in the slot overall just because he could tackle, he could blitz, he can do all those things. And I'm not saying he should be in the slot all the time, but he could play that Witherspoon role, which is like,
that's what I was going to say.
Playing inside it out, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's like the last, like it's kind of interesting. It's one of the highest picks he's ever used on a corner, but that's like the last corner that Pete Carroll drafted. Or that doesn't fit like the typical profile. And like you said, like that's kind of the role he plays in Seattle, where like he splits time, almost like what Marlon Humphrey does in Baltimore, where like when they have two corners on the field, he's going to be on the outside, but when they go into those like dime and nickel and dime packages, he's going to be on the interior and guarding the slot. So I could definitely see Will Johnson playing that role. I saw you tweet that out and agree completely. Like that feels like the perfect fit for him if he's going to end up being the pick at 6, which now you could argue has a little more weight now that they need another starter. That is the one thing I will say, like, really are losing starters on defense fairly quickly and not having great options to replace them. It's like, yes, I again, completely understand moving on from Jack Jones, but it's like, all right, but at some point we need to add starters.
Yeah.
At some point, you can only have addition by subtraction so many times before it's like, all right, we need players at some point.
Yeah, because to me, it all points to it being a super defensive draft.
Yeah.
And I think people are, I'm doing Nick Nash, but I still think Nick Nash is going to be deeper in the draft where they can start adding some more offensive players, because I think that the holes on this team are going to be filled with rookies that start. Yeah. And people have to get used to that. Like, I think they're going to find a middle linebacker, right, that's going to end up starting there. Mel Kiper had, who did Carson Schwetzinger, they had him go to the Raiders at his little finals 2-round mock draft. Of course, he had Ashton Genty at 6 and Carson at 37. So when you have that, you have those type of guys going to fill this roster. I mean, you're going to have it might be defense. You know what I mean? It might be like that. And, you get like, well, when they're going to get a running back, or that's what they have to decide. They probably have to figure that out and see what their value is at right now. But that's why, to me, they should trade back.
Yeah, get more picks.
Yeah, when you trade back, get more picks, and you trade back, and you really want to run it back, you can get them Ryan Hampton.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like, it's like we both like Will Johnson a lot too, but he does seem to be like sliding. So like, hey, maybe you can trade back to, let's say, like I'm just throwing a number out there, like 10 or something like that, the low teens. Get a Will Johnson, pick up an extra mid-round pick, and then maybe you can get a guy like a Darian Porter or Siobhan Revel in the 2nd or 3rd round, something like that. Because I think taking two corners high and early is on the table right now. Because again, you need an outside starting. You need 2 starting quarterbacks, right? You need an inside guy. You need an outside guy at this stage. So I don't think that's off the table.
Yeah, because in my personal opinion I have the same vision. It's like they have to stack up at some of these defensive positions, and you can't just wait. They're not filling them in free agency. So they're not filling them in free agency. That means they have to fill them in the draft. I mean, they really have no choice. So the best option for them, with all the holes they have, is to trade back. Of course, you have to have a suitor to trade back. You have to have a player that's available. Yeah. Maybe the Saints want Shedeur Sanders. That's a buzz that's growing right now. So maybe the Saints trade up for Shedeur Sanders, something like that. They trade back. If they don't want Shedeur Sanders, even though Raiders fans would freak out if that happened. There'll be some fans. If they pass on Shedeur Sanders, there'll be some fans who freak out. But if they grab more picks in the later rounds, they could start to fill the roster with some of these players, because it's gonna be they just don't have enough picks to fill all the holes that they left on defense. Let's say that. especially when you have that big running back hole too. It's not like they have. It's probably the only main offensive hole they really have to address. So they have to. If you're going to address that, I feel like you have to address it high, and that's least by the third round. So that's going to be something they got to figure out too as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that is the biggest glaring need on offense. Maybe you could throw offensive line in there, but yeah, I think I think trading back's gonna be a huge option at 6. I think that's something that maybe a lot of people aren't discussing right now that could happen. But again, like you said, I gotta have a partner and gotta have someone who's willing to move up for a draft class that lacks some top end talent, which I think is working against them a little bit. But if they can figure it out and then just load up on defensive players, I think that's the signals we're getting. A running back and defense, that would be an analytics person's worst nightmare.
Yeah, exactly, man. I mean, because they're probably. I feel like they're gonna draft a guard too. I just feel it. Like I feel like just because there's a competition, and Jordan Meredith's undrafted, so they're gonna give Jordan Meredith some competition. I feel that at some point. So that's why you got to collect some more picks to fill some of these holes. So I feel like that's the best option right now is to kind of trade out that position, move back to 11 or 12, and then I think you have a better idea because then if you could even go the route, which sounds crazy, but you could go like a Kenneth Grant or something like that. Go a different route than maybe what people think, and because I mean those tackles a little bit of a hole too. You know what I'm saying? So they're just the holes are all on defense. I mean, if you look at the holes on offense, it's really only running back. You can make the case that Breweries can figure it out with that offensive line they have right now. And I mean, wide receivers I feel like are fine. But you could maybe add somebody like later in the draft, but like nothing where you feel like you have to get a starter. You know what I mean? They need starters at that position. So yeah.
I mean, the immediate holes, like we said, are on that side of the ball and pretty glaring, but
pretty glaring. All right. So let's get to the draft breakdown today. So Matt's doing Darian Porter. I'm doing Nick Nash, who might be a fan favorite over here from San Jose State. But he has a pretty good film himself. So what were your thoughts on Darian Porter?
Yeah, so I mean, I touched on it a little bit, but he reminds me a lot of Reek Woolen. Part of it's just the body type. I mean, I think he's just under 6'3", if I'm remembering that correctly. Well over 200 pounds. With I want to say like 33 3/8 inch arms, but it's over 33 inches. I mean, he's getting the Sauce Gardner territory for arm length, and runs a 4.3 40, 4.3 flat. By the way, can fly. And that's pretty obvious on film. We'll see that on a handful of these clips. And has decent change of direction. A pretty good athlete. That's everything you obviously like about him. The problem is he's a 1-year wonder and a 6-year senior, which is a tough combination. Usually, if you get the older prospects that, hey, we were just talking about how the Raiders need starters right away on defense. An older prospect are usually good for that, but he played wide receiver his first 3 years at Iowa State. And then spent, 2 years kind of developing, playing behind. I think they've had some good corners, I think TJ Tampa, if I remember that correctly, got drafted last year. And I think they've had a few guys that he's had to sit behind, but he really didn't play until this past year. And again, going to be on the older side. So there's a little bit of a gamble on that. Is hey, is this just a 1-year wonder? On the other end, he's playing a new position. Did he finally just put it all together? And he has all these physical traits and he's going to blossom in the NFL. So it's a little bit, that's, I think, where you get, where he's not in that end of the first round conversation. Because again, so far he's checked every box in the pre-draft process. Had a really good Senior Bowl, was fast there, was one of the fastest dudes on in the little GPS tracker. And again, he crushed it at the combine, had a great workout. I think earned a 9.99 RAS, something crazy like that. And again, has good change of direction, has good agility and all that stuff. It's just, hey, is this a guy that is just a 1-year dude and kind of was benefiting from having so much more experience than everyone else that he's lining up across from? Or is this a guy that's putting it all together? And that's the gamble. And again, that's probably why we're not talking about him being a first round guy. But as far as being a day 2 pick, he's got some pretty good tape that I think you take a chance on him and you gamble on those trades.
Yeah, especially from what I watch Porter, he's just he's really good at zone. And that's what the Raiders are going to do, right? I mean, you could probably hide him a little bit, and watch how he plays in zone and see that he has some good zone instincts. My thing, is with the tackling a little bit, but that's just.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this: like, I mean, a lot of the clips that we're gonna look at are gonna be him and man. So,
really? Okay.
him playing man and him playing press man. I think his technique needs a little bit of cleanup work, which again, being newer to the position, is gonna happen. And then the tackling, like, I don't know. I felt like he made some pretty good open field tackles and made some pretty good in the run support. He is like a bit of a we'll see one clip where he takes down a great angle, and kind of like surprisingly gets a guy down, which I don't know, maybe that doesn't happen in the NFL, but that's also where like the long arms come in handy. Like you can give him some more range. But yeah, I mean, I'm not as concerned about his tackling. I can kind of see where you're coming from a little bit in that regard. But I mean, I think he's a guy that again has plenty of tools to be a good fit in either scheme, honestly. And one point I wanted to make: last year he gave up 5 completions for like a 29% completion rate and had 3 picks. So he had almost as many picks as he gave up interceptions. So pretty good rate, or completions, I should say.
Yeah. I mean, he has good film. Man. He does. I really like this film too. All right, Nick Nash. Nick Nash is a slot receiver. So I mean, he played in the slot 90% of the time. Like, this is not like a guy who plays outside at all. But he is 6'3", 195. He runs a 4.4, I believe.
He was 4.6.
He was a 4.6?
Yeah, because he said at the combine, he had the famous quote at the combine of like, "I hope I run a 4.6."
Hold on. I'm gonna pull up.
Did he run a 4.4 at San Jose State?
I don't know. No. I swear I saw him run a 4.4. But if I'm wrong about that, then I'm wrong. It was 4.57. You're right.
4.57. Yeah. I cut him. Yeah. He's a little bit faster than I gave him credit for.
Yeah, you're right. But he's 6'2" and a half, 203. I guess it's on film. Like he looks a lot faster too. So I swear I thought he ran it forward, but it's 4.57. It makes sense because I mean that's why he's a slot guy. But he is good. He was a good route runner, and he's great with contested catches, which is something that you don't see a lot from slot receivers, and that's why I think he's like Tyler Boyd. And it makes me want to look up Tyler Boyd. So I'll draft him real quick because I feel like they're like very similar as players. I know, Tyler Boyd went the second round, but he is a pure slot guy, and kind of the same thing. Yeah, 4.58, 6'1", 197. Nick Nash 6'2", 20, about 203. Kind of the same 40 time, a little bit the same vertical leap too. So it's very similar profile to Tyler Boyd. Okay, and that's exactly where I see him playing in the NFL, is being that type of guy where he can run up the seam just like Tyler Boyd could, and just like when Joe Burrow was working with Tyler Boyd, can win inside, win a lot of routes, and has pretty good hands. He had a 6% drop rate, had a couple games where he had some drops every once in a while, but the contested catches kind of make up for it. And I think he's a good player. Like I said, it's not somebody that you're going to draft like before day 3, in my opinion. Especially after seeing that 40 time. It's definitely not gonna happen. But like the Raiders got those back end picks, and I think it's somebody that you could bring in, and he could end up being a steal and being one of your slot, starting slot receivers like by next year or something like that. Kind of like when you draft Hunter Renfrow, right? Like you draft him in the 5th round, and you don't expect him to start right away. But he comes in there, and by year 2, year 3, you're starting to see that guy really flourish. And I think that's something that Nick Nash can do. And just a lot of contested catches, a lot of good film. So I really like this film. That's why I wanted to do him today.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched him much. I didn't catch many San Jose State games this past year or when he was there. But the first thing that comes to mind is I know he was like in the contention and like a legit contender for the Bolitnikoff Award winner this year. Like he led the country, I think, in yards, if I remember that correctly. I mean, he had a super productive season. So that's those are the type of numbers you like to see from the smaller school guys that help him stand out. But interesting that he's a bigger slot. Didn't realize that about his game.
Yeah, it is. It makes sense that he led the league in yards. He would get like 30 targets a game. As I was saying, a lot of film. It was easy to evaluate. These wide receivers aren't getting 23 targets in a game. Like when you watch this state, it's just it's like 3 games of film for like a wide receiver is all for Nick Nash in one film. It's 23.
There you go. Makes it easy. You get the full picture from one game. I like that.
For one game, man. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, he's a good player though. I did think he's faster though. That surprises me. That 4.57. See,
Yeah.
I mean,
Got game speed.
Yeah, man, it's interesting. All right, let's get into some Nick Nash. So, like I said, he is in the slot 90% of the time. I think the year before it was like 80. So, kind of give you an idea where we're getting. We're getting the slot receiver. This is a big slot here, and what I like about this, watch what he does number 4 here. And this is a quick jab step. It's not even like having to do a lot of movement or anything like kind of how you saw from Kyle Williams. It's just pure jab step, quick out right there. He's just so smooth in and out of his breaks here. And that's why he's perfect for the slot. Look how he does this guy. This guy's completely turned around. And this is on 3rd down, right? This is an overtime.
Yeah.
And he just eats this guy up real quick. So he's like I said, just quick jab step. Just get that guy to commit inside, open up his hips. It's too late. He's already hitting the out route. 1st down. All right, I really like this route because we get a diamond release. So you know what a diamond release is?
Ooh.
Is when you fully basically sell that fade. And you kind of give that step this way and then come back in the slant. And he does this really well. So you see it one more time here. You kind of give that in and out right there, and you get inside here. Create that separation. So San Jose like to just chuck the ball down the field all the time. So they got a lot of man-to-man. So you get a lot of man reps with him too. You can see it, just that perfect form of the diamond. Boom, get back inside. And then even does a good job a little bit, I think, of getting flat here a little bit.
Yeah.
Kind of getting upfield, getting the 1st down there. All right. So here's another one here with him. What I really like about this one is just gonna be a pure out route, right? But you see right here is number 4 has outside leverage, and he has to kind of fight through here. So you kind of see his physicality a little bit too. So he has to fight through number 4 here, and you just say maybe that's a little bit of a penalty, if you. But he also has to he has to fight through this, right? I mean, he has to get through this contact, and that's what I really like is that he still found a way to win here. And as soon as number 4 gets his hands on him like this, he's basically just fighting through it. And that guy's he's just not big enough to deal with his physicality. Of course, you maybe want like him to get the 1st down here, but it's still a good catch.
Yeah.
Balance his feet in.
Yeah.
All right. Next one here. This one you get a little a whip route here. So if you don't know what a whip route is, here you go. Fake that out, come back inside. All right. It's a good job selling that out. Look at his head is down. He's got number 7 fully committed here, and then he just kind of just whips it back a little bit right there. You can see a little bit of his ability to make people miss in open field too, which is his yak ability is a little underrated too. But you just see that separation he's able to get inside. Like he just becomes a quarterback's best friend. That's why I'm telling you, it's like literally 19 targets a game. Like I watched, it was just Nick Nash getting the ball thrown to him. All right, here we go. Show a little bit of his yak ability here. So this could end up being a quick slant from the inside. Just another quick one. And what, like I said, what I like about this one too, how he gets it flat instead of just going right at this safety on a slant and making it easy for him. This is what you like from slot receivers, what we saw from Tez Johnson too, which is you get flat, right? And then you're able to get that pass right there, and you can make one guy miss, and you can get some yak there. And you can maybe probably see the 4.57 speed a little bit there.
I was about to say this might be the example of the 40. He gets caught.
Really
a couple guys. Like 3
Yeah. Right there. There's the 4.57. He's a slot. We don't need him to.
We'll take like 30-yard gains. We'll take that.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Turn it upfield. All right. It showed a little bit of his yak ability here too on this one as well. So, looks another just quick out. Like I said, just gets flat really quickly. It breaks a man miss, makes another guy miss right there. Has him whiffing inside.
There we go.
So like I said, if you bring him in, right, like, and I think he would come in and play really well just because he's a very seasoned route runner.
Yeah.
Geno Smith, what he did with JSN, those just just being able to have that guy you could trust and have like Jacoby Myers and all those guys, it just makes quarterbacks comfortable. They can get rid of the ball quickly to him, and he can make some guys miss open field, break a tackle. Another guy there, nice little shifty move there. Watch it one more time. Let's get bam right there. Get a little shifty move there. Works. All right, and then he can run intermediate routes too from the inside, and there's things you could do with him. Like you see, I mean, they're basically in quarters here, kind of like a quarters look, in my opinion, or it looks like cover zero, but quarters is cover zero without a blitz. So he's gonna go against a safety here, and he's got a safety full in backpedal. The safety can't even react in time by the time he's out of this break. And of course, this quarterback does a good job of timing it too. I was looking at this quarterback. He's like 6'5", 225, man. He's got a big arm. Yeah. But right there, get it out on time. Nice little crisp route there. It's really selling. And like I said, it's the fluidness of his hips to kind of just get on that out route right there, get flat. He did a nice job coming back to the ball too a little bit. So you can see a player who in my opinion, he's ready to go off the slot. He's ready to play for you. All right, here's another little out route too from Nash. Kind of the same thing, but even like I said, you get him lined up on the safety here against quarters. You get him these easy releases, right? Boom. And the safety does a better job of playing at this time, but he's a good job of catching the ball in traffic too as well. And you just that quick little step inside. It's like an all one fluid motion too. If you see it, it's not like any wasted movement. It allows good timing with the quarterback.
Yeah, it was a great ball also.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's what I was talking about, bro.
Wait, who's this dude?
That's when I was watching this. I was thinking the same thing when I was watching it. I was like, who is this guy? All right. And the other thing, and this I was talking about, maybe the speed, but when you look at it a little bit, it might be a little bit of route running too, but he wins deep a lot. That's one thing he does, is he wins deep a lot. And you see right here, what I like about this is that you see the physicality and then the ability to kind of catch this ball and then get, of course, in the college, just 1 foot, but just how impressive that is to catch this ball on the sideline and still have your balance to get that 1 foot in like that. You'll see it on the other side. But I really like this route too, because even though the guy's still on him, right, at the top of this route, you see the little arm over there, and he's able to get some separation late and then make a great catch with balance. So we'll see it from this side here. See the catch here, boom. And just, having a jump in the air, catch the ball, then get that one, sneak that 1 foot down with balance right there. It's impressive.
Yeah, that was nice.
All right, here's another one against Washington State, who he was just eating up number 4. I don't know why they kept having number 4 follow him. And you see that ability to get physical again, create late separation. Because that's what I'm saying. When you're a bigger slot like this, you're going to get smaller guys inside, and he can use his size and physicality just to win, and then gets that separation right there. It's a nice little pass there too as well. But you see just stuff like number 4 stumble over stuff. He's too small for him. Constantly went outside like that. So I really like how he can win deep too as well. This one I like too, because this really shows his ability as a slot receiver. You already talked about him flattening routes and stuff like that. But so on this one, right, they end up like basically switching to cover 3 here, Washington State. So once they get in this cover 3 look, he knows that this is going to be wide open here. Watch his head, just looks for the ball right away. Like he knows right where he needs to be. He's looking for that football. He knows exactly where he needs to be in that middle of that field right there, playing slot. I really like this. these are the things. That's why he reminds me of Tyler Boyd, because it's like this is exactly how Joe Burrow used to throw balls to Tyler Boyd. Right in the middle of the field, right there against cover 3.
Yeah, that's a great read.
Get that first down. All right, and then of course finish it off with the contested catches here, which I think is one of his best skills is the contested catches. What I'm talking about, him going against smaller corners, being 6'2", and a slot player. And you see it right here, it kind of just basically a jump ball, but Nash just bodies this guy and catches it.
Damn.
Just bodies him. Nice little catch there. And the guy, he's just too small. Just keep it real. I mean, the slot corners are the smaller corners on the field. And when you have Nick Boyd like that, as I'm saying, you could just have the greatest vertical leap. I think it was like 34 inches, but you just see he just bodied that guy. The guy had no chance. And he's physical too. Physical player. He blocks pretty well too. I mean, they just don't run the ball at San Jose State. I mean, they basically just throw the ball 50 times a game. That's why he has 23 targets a game. But all right, here's another one. Another contested catch, and this is against Boise State here. They try to bracket him here. They try to put a little bracket on him. It doesn't work. Beats the bracket.
Yeah.
Ball's completely underthrown, but you see he just rips it off that guy's head.
Yeah. I mean, to be able to run routes, have yak, and be a contested catch guy, that'll work.
It works, man. See, and like I said, this is an underthrown ball, but he does a good job tracking it and just ripping it, making that contested catch. So I'm saying, like, he is the definition of big slot. Like when you talk about the big slot receivers in the NFL, I mean, you don't see a ton of them these days.
Yeah.
This guy's the definition, and this catch is just impressive as hell. So he's gonna run basically a post route, and this ball's like completely overthrown. He's just gonna snatch it out of the air.
Yeah, he kind of reminds me of like Mike Thomas, like OG Mike Thomas.
Yeah,
like will catch the easy layups for the slants and make something happen with those, and then go up and get them like this one.
Yeah, it's just impressive. Look at that. That was not a good throw. Let's give it. It was a bad throw. And he made it a good throw. Look at that extension. Touchdown. So yeah, that's Nick Nash. So I really like this film. I do. I think he's an underrated player. It's just because he is a slot. And maybe it's all the targets. Like since I watched like 50 targets of him, like and I got it to like 3 games. I got like a full, full 6-game picture in 3 games, and I have like a great feel for him. But yeah, he from the slot. I mean, it really doesn't get too much better than that. Let's keep it real. I mean, he's smart there. He has good hands. You could run up the seam. He could body small guys. If you get a small guy on him in the red zone, like you could just play him in the slot and he's gonna work some dude. So this is a lot to like, but just because like the school and all that, and maybe some team does fall in love with him and decide that, but I think he's gonna be there in day 3, and that's when you're to decide. I don't know if we get past the 5th round, but I think it's a guy that you could, the Raiders can wait a little bit, get that type of player where he could come in and play day 1, also being a 5th round pick.
Yeah, get the value there. Yeah, there was one thing I meant to mention this when you're talking about it from the beginning, but it like came up when you're going through it, like and talking about like just him getting his head around in the zone coverage and all that stuff, and like doing kind of the nuance thing. He's a former quarterback. He like originally played quarterback his first 4 years at San Jose State, and his last 2, he's a 6-year guy. Was a wide receiver. So I think that kind of like showed up on his tape, like just his football IQ, and like you pointed that out a couple times, like I said, with him working back to the quarterback or flattening out the route and understanding how to manipulate the coverage and whatnot. So definitely a smart and cerebral guy. Obviously a little bit of the questions with the athleticism, but for the most part, that was pretty nice tape. That was a lot better and more impressive than I thought it was going to be. Like I said, didn't know a ton about Nick Nash. Just knew he got a ton of targets and put up some impressive numbers. But I've kind of assumed it was just him getting peppered at a small school. But no, that was legit. That was legit route running. That was legit like nuance. And again, his ability to high point the ball, even not even having the greatest vertical, is pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah, it's I thought it was like, wow, this is pretty impressive, man. It's interesting, and like I said, like you're right. I mean, if he went to like I feel like he went to a bigger school, he probably had a little bit more buzz with him. But because he did have a good, I know coming out of the East West Shrine Bowl, a lot of people were talking about him just because he was winning at the 1-on-1s, and yeah, well, you're doing rocker steps and stuff like that, and you know how to run routes. Yeah, but it's it is interesting. He played quarterback like that, and he's out there doing running routes like that too as well. So it's pretty impressive, man. It's impressive stuff.
Yeah. By the way, quarterback Walter Eget. Got to remember that name for next year. Going to be a senior, but because those are some impressive throws.
I know they were. All right, let's do some Darian Porter.
All right, so of course started off talking about his interceptions and ball skills. So we got to start the film with that one. This first one's going to be a little bit of what Marcus was talking about, him just being a great zone corner. I believe this is going to be a fire zone or cover 3, one of the two. I think this might be cover 3, but either way, Porter's going to be here. He's going to be responsible for the deep third, but as you can tell with Iowa, they're going to run a little play action pass, and he does bite a little hard on the play action fake with him, especially getting the inside release from the receiver to go block, presumptively. But then on top of it, once he realizes the quarterback still has the ball and it's a ball fake, you're going to see those athleticism start to come in to be able to retrace. What I like about this too is this play call we've seen before is a little wide leak where this tight end is going to block for a second and then kind of work across the field. And the goal here is to get the defense to forget about him. But with Porter, he has great eyes, which another thing that stands out about him in zone coverage, like we'll see this a lot where he's eyeing the quarterback, but he has the peripheral vision to kind of like see the receiver and see any threats coming into his area. And then with that, he's able to step in front of the route and then go make the pick. Again, this is part of the zone coverage where I do think he has some scheme versatility because, again, we're going to see a bunch of clips of him and man playing pretty damn well. So, again, also you see a little bit of the ability to high point the ball. Forget what his vertical is, but it was pretty damn impressive too. He can get up.
36 inches, yeah.
36, yeah, exactly. This next one's going to be a little PBU. Again, this one's going to be a man rep. What I liked about this too is, like you'll see it, you might have noticed it on the release, like going up against a stacked receiver set. So he's going to be responsible for whichever one of these guys ends up coming outside. And his first receiver is going to basically block like it's a screen to set up the pick route. But he does a great job of just staying up and staying on his on balance throughout the physicality and then fighting through it. And then again, just attaches to his man. You're not going to outrun this dude. And on top of it, ends up getting his head around. Like I like this too. We'll see another example of this. But you can see here, like he's in phase, got the receiver looking up for the ball. Now I look up for the ball, track it, and locate it in the air well, and get the PBU. Although we will see, I think, why he got moved to wide receiver here in just a second, because this, let's see if I can get it perfect. This should have been interception.
Yeah.
But hey, we'll take PBUs. Let's see. Yeah, should have been a pick.
Yeah, this should definitely.
But this one, we'll see basically the same rep, only he makes the catch. So again, has the hands to do it. It's just, I don't know. I guess that one was a little bit of the stone hands. But again, this is what I'm talking about. Him and press. Like we'll see even better examples of this later too. Like he's pretty patient with his hips. Waits till that receiver declares to the outside. Gets his hands on a little bit. Doesn't really disrupt the route on this instance specifically, which is a little bit, I think, where his press technique can improve. But he does a great job of staying in phase. Again, you're not running past the dude who runs a 4-3 flat and then finds the ball again and comes down with a pick. See,
yeah, I love how he's finding the ball. That's what I really like.
Yeah, he's good at it for sure. I mean, you can tell he kind of has that wide receiver background where he can track the ball pretty well. To be honest with you guys, this one I just kind of included so we can say we went over all of Porter's 3 interceptions last year. But yeah, just a little Hail Mary here at the end of the game. Seals it. We'll see a little of the receiver skills through this distraction drill here on the end zone. But yeah, obviously not gleaning too much. But again, just so we can all say we broke down every single one of Porter's
You came back with her. He didn't even get close to the end zone.
He's like, I'm gonna get the stat sheet right here. I got to make up for that one. Well, this was earlier in the season, but he's like, I know I'm gonna drop that pick later in the season, so I need to get another one right here. All right, moving on to him in press coverage. Gonna get another PBU here. I mean, he's playing the goal line fade here, and I mean, this is perfect, right? He's got, if you notice, like he's got a little inside leverage here, and you're gonna see this receiver on the release start to try and attack him inside a little bit. And very subtly kind of just takes one move and maintains his leverage. And that's how he knows. He's like, all right, either this guy's going to go through me and I'm in a great position to cover the slant, or I know he's going to the outside and working towards the back pylon on the fade. Obviously, we're to the back pylon. You can see it if you watch his outside hand or inside hand right there. There, gets attached to get some contact. And again, just plays that perfectly. So again, locate the ball in the air and go make the play. Go bat it out of the air. Go get another PBU. Forget how many PBUs he had last year, but if you stack up his PBUs and picks, he forced more incompletions than he gave up last year. It was pretty damn impressive. Another rep here in press. Sorry, BD, but this is a great way to defend the blaze out. Again, I mean, he's all over this. Like this time, a little bit more square, playing him square. Again, like you notice the hips, like right now, like a lot of DBs, once they start getting this outside stem from the receiver, they'll start to open up their hips, and that's going to screw them when the receiver breaks inside, but he stays square. Once he declares, now I open, get my hands on. And again, this is, I think, not the greatest technique where he kind of gets leaning like right about here. This is what I'm talking about, where he could use some stuff to clean up and still a little raw. But again, when you're a freaky athlete and have long arms, you can make up for it. Again, a great spot to defend against the out here. Obviously smothering the in, and there's nowhere for that ball to be completed if it was even thrown that way. This one, obviously not true press coverage and taking advantage of a little bit of the college rules, but what I wanted to show is just, again, similar to what that rep where he had the stacked receivers and fought through some contact. I mean, he's going up against a tight end here. Tight end tries to get physical at the top of the route, just uses his hands, stays on balance, and runs with the guy. So, again, that's the other part of that I like about him is he can cover a lot of different body types. Physical guys he can hold his own on, and obviously the speed guys out wide he's going to be able to run with too. Another one similar to that blaze out that we saw just a second ago. This time it's just going to be the other way on the in. But again, like you'll see the patience with his hips at the line of scrimmage, right? Mm-hmm. Stays there. Now we open, get my hands involved. Not the most physical to disrupt the route per se, but it's going to help him stay in phase. Again, it's a great job of just sitting on it. Like you can see, as soon as that receiver starts to break, he's dropping his butt too. Mm-hmm. And if this ball were to come, he'd be able to undercut it and maybe get another pick there or get a PBU.
Yeah, he's just athletic, man. I can just tell. He's a top-notch athlete. Yeah,
for sure. Again, like this is what I'm saying. Like why he reminds me of Reek Woolen is Reek needed a ton of work on his technique, but he was a freaky athlete, and that's why he ended up getting drafted. And that's why I think you can see a lot of similarities with Porter. This time against the curl, same thing with the hips. Again, just staying attached. And I mean, this one, even better than the last rep I showed where he just sinks his hip as soon as that break is. I mean, that's suffocating the route. Now, what I will say is we better be damn sure the quarterback crosses the line because you can see right here. This is not good. This is the bad part of the rep, but you're also going to see a little bit of the recovery speed because it does get back there. But yeah, that's that NFL. You do that.
You can't do that just Patrick Mahomes, bro. Patrick Mahomes is whipping that ball.
Exactly. Yeah, he whipped that, and that's 6, and you end up on Sports Center for the next year. This one kind of similar. He does lose a little bit. Like you can see again, I with his press technique, I'd like to see him marry his feet and his hands a little bit more, like where he kind of like just kind of leans a little bit on this one. This isn't as bad as the one we saw earlier. And like does like maybe half a step, but again, with his long arms and his speed, like I trust him to make up for it. And at the same time, like again, just kind of sits on the route. Like his start-stop ability for someone who's that tall is pretty damn impressive. Little 2-point play here against the drag route. this time was much better on the scramble drill. You can see a little bit of what I'm talking about with the change of direction and like the lateral movement skills. Again, for a bigger cornerback, does a great job staying in phase. But same thing here at the line of scrimmage. Gets his hands on, fights through a little bit of this rub and gets through the trash a little bit there too. Again, just stays attached to his man. So big part of why I like him, because again, like you said, can play in zone as well, and can play some press man. Going to wrap up here with some run support. And the reason why I want to start with this clip is one of the biggest things with me is in corners and defending the run is just being willing. It's just your effort. And I mean, the play like this, like there is no better example of a guy's effort. Like he's, I guess, not technically on the backside because Caleb Johnson cuts it backside, but he's on the opposite side of the field, a running back, and doesn't quit. Like takes a deep angle. On top of it, you can see the speed too, and just makes a touchdown saving tackle. Like this is a type of play that's going to fire a coach like Pete Carroll up, man.
Yeah.
And the fact that he went from one side of the field and chased down the running back to give us a chance, right? We already gave up the big play, but hey, let's give us a chance to get off the field maybe and end up making the tackle. So speed plus the effort and plus a great angle, like that fired me up a little bit to watch that. This one, again, a little bit I can see a little bit what you're talking about here, Marcus, with the tackling form where he does kind of like dive at the ankles.
Mm.
But this is where those long arms come in handy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like as soon as gonna get another physical release here from this receiver. I think the same guy as before. And then as soon as he sees that receiver kind of leave him and start to go inside to block the DB, nice read, come up and make the tackle. Again, would like to see him run his feet a little bit more and play bigger like he is than dive at ankles. But when you have long arms and you're an athlete, you can get away with it a little bit more. Mm-hmm. This one, he's going to blitz. Again, does a pretty good job of beating the wide receiver across the receiver's face on this block attempt here. And again, stays on balance through some contact and ends up getting a TFL. We see that lunge again here, which you're talking about. Yeah. Which, at this point, just run your feet and go through the outside leg rather than trying to do this kind of stuff. Whereas maybe against an NFL running back, that this guy ends up bouncing it and still getting outside. Mm-hmm. But we'll work with that, especially for a guy that's only been playing defense for 3 years.
Yeah, and he's a wide receiver. He probably doesn't like to hit too much.
Yeah, exactly. He's physical, though, man. I will say that he's not going to back down. He's physical. I can tell, Yeah. This one, I think part of it's the angle is the problem. Like you see him, he's kind of got he comes a little too flat, maybe a little too confident in his speed on this one. And like right here kind of has to redirect, but I think that speaks to his athleticism. And those were those long arms coming to handy again. I will say that the tackle here from the end zone view makes it look a lot better. Like you can see like the other one kind of just like he got lucky, maybe grabbed him by the back of the jersey to get him down. But like you can see like he does get the full wrap. Again, 33 and whatever inch arms, 33 and 3/8 inch arms. That'll help. And he actually gets a TFL on this one, which is pretty damn impressive. Again, would like to see him back this up. Probably stay on like this path and come wide, because then worst case running back's going to see that and cut back into the teeth of the defense. But hey, if you make the play, you make the play at the end of the day. So a little bit better tackler, and I think might get some credit for it, but definitely has some stuff to clean up. Yeah. Now, this last one's going to be in coverage. I recognize that. I just kind of want to show it because I thought it was a pretty nice open field tackle here. With this defense, looks like they're rolling into cover 2 late, so he's going to be responsible for the flat area over there, and then ends up helping save his teammate on the dig route. Makes one guy miss. Again, nice little open field tackle. Yeah. He still lunges. Yeah. Damn those long arms. I guess you can lunge if you're going to be a DB. You can lunge, just have freakishly long arms to be able to still get the guy down. But like I said, man, you can play him in press, you can play him in zone. Got good movement skills. If you think you can work with him in the press technique, especially, and the tackling technique, you're going to have a hard time. Not draft this guy. You're going to have a hard time talking yourself out of him if you think you have the coaching staff to be able to work with him and clean up a little bit of that technique. And I think it helps too, like I said, that this is only his 3rd year playing cornerback at a high level. So maybe that helps him out a little bit too, even though he is an older guy.
Yeah, I also think he's a little more athletic than Tyreek Woolen. I think Tyreek Woolen was kind of stiff, is a stiffer player, in my opinion.
Yeah, like
And he, I could just see the full athleticism with
yeah,
Porter, where he's like he could bend, and a lot of those things when you're going against better route runners, you especially playing outside, you're always not gonna have that, aren't always gonna get your hands on them, and you gotta have
yeah,
the ability to kind of bend. And I think that's where Tyreek Woolen has a little bit of issues. If he doesn't get his hand on you and he can't stay with you, you can work him a little bit with some
yeah.
some good route running. And I think Darian Porter is a little bit different there from that aspect, but definitely a lot of similarities though, because they're both fast as hell with long arms and they can play press coverage and they have good ball skills. So, but yeah,
And both former wide receivers.
so. And I think probably most of my tackling vision from Darian Porter is I watched him play at Camp Scatabo, so that might be.
Oh yeah, that's not a good matchup for him. Matter of fact, I'm gonna pull this up on PFF. I remember because I was thinking about watching that game, but it wasn't his best showing, and I think it all of his missed tackle or half of his missed tackles came in that game.
Yeah, his run defense grade was 27.8. So
I will say part of that was in the Iowa game, or maybe it wasn't Iowa. I think actually it was Texas Tech. The Texas Tech game, they basically said, we're just going to put 2 tight ends on his side and force him to play in the box. And he was taking on offensive tackles and big tight ends and trying to set the edge. I'm like, okay, don't have him do that. Like Iowa State at some point had to take him out of the game because they're like, we can't have this guy set the edge. If you're relying on your corner to set the edge, I think you need to draft a safety.
yeah. That's crazy. Yeah, man. Yeah. But that's impressive. I mean, to even just give up 5 receptions all year, bro, that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
So, team just didn't want to even throw the ball his way. So, yeah, he's impressive. He's a impressive player, man. I think it's somebody that you could definitely work with and figure out what you got to do to make him work. But yeah, it's somebody that's gonna be a target for them. I mean, I don't even know if they brought him in for a visit yet, and they probably don't even have to. I'm pretty sure Pete Carroll's like, I'm okay with that.
Pete Carroll saw him scratch his knees without having to bend over, and he was like, I want that guy. Give me that guy. He ran a 4.3. Yeah. No, he's 1-1.
Yeah. And to be pick 37 or something crazy. You know what I mean? That's the type that is literally the corner that he loves, is that type of guy. So yeah, he's definitely somebody to watch for Raiders fans. Nobody's gonna be shocked if he drafts Darian Porter. Let's do that.
No, not at all. Not at all. No, his type of corner.
Exactly. All right. Any other thoughts, Matt, before we get out of here?
I mean, not much, man. Like I said, I think we'll pound the corners pretty hard here coming up with this last little stretch before the draft. I don't know. Maybe we'll do Revel. Maybe we'll throw in a nose tackle. We'll see, because that's obviously another big hole that seems like it's fallen by the wayside with free agency. But
and we haven't done Barron yet, man. I mean, I might do Barron because I'm running out. Maybe. I was like, I could bore these guys with Tate Rutledge and Miles Frazier, but
I like Tate's game a lot.
I do too. I like Miles Frazier too. I
haven't watched him yet. I haven't watched him.
He's a great pass protector. Great pass protector.
Is that the center or one of the guards?
He's the guard for LSU.
Okay, gotcha.
Great pass protector. A little bit. I mean, it was weird with these guards. A lot of them aren't the greatest run blockers. I'm not even Donovan Jackson from Ohio State. I was like, are you better left tackle than guard? That was weird.
I feel like that's a legit conversation now. He did so well at tackle that I've heard some people talking about maybe he ends up playing tackle. I don't know.
Are you better tackle than guard? You did pretty damn well against James Pierce. For having just throw him out there hey, play some tackle for us. You guys asked quick by Abdul Carter first, but
that was also I think that was his first game at tackle. It was it not? Yeah, that's hey, here's your first game at tackle. Here's a potential number 1 pick in the draft.
Have fun. But, baptism by fire, man. Just threw in the pool. And he got by the time he played James Pierce, man, he was a left tackle. So it was super interesting. But anyway, so yeah, I might do Barron or something like that because, like I said, I feel this to be a defensive draft. So we'll look into that. But guys, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Subscribe. We are out of here. Peace.